welcome to back to One Humble Knot. We are now in part 2 of making the cross bag. So still going to be using the same hook as before. We've just got a few more elements here. So we have now made, hopefully this lighting's good, we've made 4 of these granny squares that I made in part 1, but you can really do it with any granny square that you like. We have a nice big zipper. This looks like it could be about a 30cm one. Honestly, just found one from my junk drawer, and we've got a piece of fabric. So to begin, it's all going to be a few different things. So I'm going to show you how, for this video, how I'm going to be joining the granny squares together. I always say when you make a bag, add a lining. The lining's going to be so helpful. It'll stop any stretching, stop anything falling through, always looks cute. And how I'll join the zip. You can join the zip directly to the bag itself. I'm not sure yet. I think I'm gonna see how it looks. I think I might crochet it directly too, so we'll go over how to do that as well. But to begin, so there will be some cleanup I need to do with my little tails. I probably should have done that to begin with, our center tails here, but our outside tails aren't too phased. So there is the 2 sides. If I can bring this a bit closer to the camera. So you can see on this side here, we've got those longer stitches. The other side, it looks like the stitches are going a bit more vertical. I personally prefer this side. So this is the side I want on the outside. If you want the side that you've been seeing the whole time when you've been going around, because this is the way that we've been having the squares face us on the outside, just flip it whichever way that you like. But personally, I liked the way this side, the wrong side, has turned out. So the way we're going to be doing is having 2 squares joined together this way, and both of your corners, fold them in half, and you've got this kind of fashion going on. So it looks almost like a little boat. I'm not sure if I could get this in the full screen, but we'll see what we can do. The way I do this is, to begin, what we'll be doing is joining these 2 together. So our 2 main bodies, we want to make sure that the wrong sides are facing each other, and we're going to crochet down. Now I want it to have a bit of a gap, not a huge gap. We could also do an invisible crochet stitch where it just goes zigzag to each side, but this is how I'm going to be crocheting today to join. So to begin with, we're doing our slip stitch, and we've got our 2 corners. So it's finding the corner of our corners. So with our crochet, if you remember, we had chain 1, 2, 3. So we go in the middle one here, and then we get our loop through. Let's see if I can get this. Oh. Loop through, tighten it up a bit, and we're just gonna pull through. And okay, I've changed my way that I've done this a few times. I find that joining edges are probably the most stressful thing, because it's just deciding how you want it to be done. So what we're going to do is actually have the sides we want on the outside facing together. If you want to put markers on the end, you definitely can do. We want to make sure we're matching up in this first corner here. So we've got 1, this little one here, and we've got 1, 2, so it's going to be these 2 of our corner chain 3 together. Okay, so I'm putting my hook through preemptively. You could probably put a marker, it's completely up to you. Also, I'm doing this with a flash. It's kind of like a bit dark outside right now, so lighting isn't amazing. So we've just done our, as if we're doing just like a little slip loop, like we're starting off. We'll keep this tail here, and to start off, we just want to pull that through. This tail, we're going to actually crochet into our join, so that will be nice and easy. And we're going to basically be doing double crochets all the way down. So I've just done a pull through, do a second pull through to secure, and we're wanting to match up both sides together. So if it's easier, put the tail to the side a bit. We just went through this first loop. Now we're going through the second chains. There they are. Put the tail on top, pull through as if you're doing a double, and pull through again. And we just repeat this all the way down. So through the opposite one, and do this all the way. And just, it's nice and easy from here on out. The other thing, this tail that we got going on here, we will start folding that one in when we get to it. Perfect. So just like that, we've joined it. You may have seen around here, I was kind of putting a few extra in the other side just because I noticed it wasn't completely even, or there was a pull. So trying to like reinforce and secure it, so that looked quite nice there. In a nice world, everything would line up and I wouldn't have to break this off, but we're doing a nice little tie off, because this is going to be the corner join. So a couple little slip through ties, that down to the bottom. Okay, so I was considering, oh, this guy was meant to be a bit more threaded in. I think I forgot about him being threaded in, but I can thread it in myself now. So I was considering doing a different kind of join, but I just did a nice basic join. The way we're going to thread this guy in, so we can see he's naturally going that way. So we're just going to go in and out a few times. I found this is probably the best way, is weave your crochet hook, wrap it around, make it a little bit taut, and pull through. Now to kind of reinforce this, we're going to push it down a bit. I personally like to turn around, and we're going to, do we want to go down that way? Could do, or we could just go back. Because this is going to be the bottom, I actually don't mind just going back on myself. So we're actually going to go a little bit to the right to this condensed part here. Same kind of idea. Weave yourself through. And pull. And pull out a bit. Like so. And we're going to do it once more. So we're going to go back along here. Probably should have measured it out a bit, but that's fine. Weave through again. Wrap around. A nice pull through if it wants to. Doesn't seem to be wanting to pull through for me today. Let's try weave it a bit better. Maybe if I wrap it around twice. Oh no, there we go. And then I'm probably just going to cut this end off here. And doing a nice little zigzag helps reinforce it, and you can kind of move it around. And then there's less chance of it ever really unraveling itself. So I'll get that one cut off. When I do the big cleanup, you can either cut it off on this outside or pull it through once again to the wrong side and cut it off here. You could do a tie, whatever you wanted, but then it'll start looking nice and clean. Okay, so we have our right sides that we've just crocheted together. And now we're going to be doing the corner pieces. So what you will do, right now this is my outside. And, I decided this side to be the outside. We want to make sure that's the same for our corner piece as well. You're going to be open up so then the wrong sides are facing. Line up your corner. And what you're going to do is crochet this half first and then fold it over to do the second half. So I want this to be a bit shorter. We're going to measure up that this is our corner here. We could probably use a little marker wherever they've gone. So we've got, keep that in focus, we've got this part is in line if it wants to go through with this part here. And this are our wrong sides are facing outwards, and we're going to do the same thing. So starting from here, starting from your corner. So what we'll do is find our corner stitches as we did before, go through both of them. So we have our corners pinned, have our slip stitch and pull through. Pull through a second time. And now we're going to crochet along just like we did the first time. this is when things get a little bit trickier because I'm right here at my corner and I need it to meet up with the corner. So we're going to undo our little pin that we have, and we're wanting to make sure that they meet up. And this is where we kind of do a bit of a extension, I guess you could say. So we've done our last one in our first chain stitch on the other side as best as we can, but we are a little bit behind. So what we're going to do is just continue along, because it just doesn't perfectly meet up. Do a few double crochets in this corner and treat it as if you're doing like a scalloped edge. It's getting fanned out a little bit more. The love is just getting shared a little bit more. We've got this tail in here. You might have seen me earlier trying to tuck in a tail going a different direction. It's all the same thing. We just want to try and, as you go, tuck in as many tails as possible. So we just went in right in at the knot. You can see that there's a body of a crochet stitch. And we're just going to try to keep pulling through. Oh, get that back on there. And then here's a little corner. Where's our crochet? This is the corner of our second one. So we're right on track. Get another crochet in there. This is when it starts getting a bit tricky. So we just did our corner one. And now we want to meet these guys up. So if I just kind of extend this out a bit. We had this facing this way, and now we're making the bend happen. So you're going to have this weird kind of cornered effect going on. What I want to do is just mark this guy as my corner. Put a little marker on it. I know this is my corner piece. It doesn't really matter, but just for me, that's what I personally like to do. If you've got different colors, it always helps when you've got different colors. But if you've got, say, your two favorite ones and you thought the other two side ones maybe weren't as perfect, then that way you can still remember. And we're just going to continue along like what we've been doing. Now we're at the last one. We're going through that last chain stitch. There we go. Oh. I know I've got scissors right above me that I should be using. I just don't. Okay, so the center one didn't really get threaded through, but we've got a nice little thread through here. I'm going to clean all these up and stuff. But this is the shape that it's taking, which is great. So now we're just going to repeat it on this side with our other one. So right now I have the wrong sides on the outside. So I face it together, face the right sides together. I'm going to take my pen off because I know that is my corner piece that I was using earlier. We're going to get a nice little corner, put it through and put it through the center of our two main pieces like we did before. And rinse and repeat. And now we're just going to do this section here. Crochet it all together for both sides. And I'm going to clean up my corners, clean up my threads that are poking out. And I'll be right back. Okay, so we have a little, I've cleaned it up a bit. This is our wrong side all facing outwards. And we have these few little tails up here as well. So what we're going to do now is actually do a nice clean up border. I'm wanting this to be a nice thick border to go around before attaching the zip. So what we're going to do, we get our little knot ready. It's sometimes nicer to start at the corner. Ooh, there we go, we're in the screen. At the corner. Just looks a bit cleaner opposed to starting in the middle, because this is where you're going to tie in, tie out. So what we're going to do, once again, meet our little chain 3 in the corner, pull through, and we're going to go chain 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do treble crochets all around. Are we doing treble crochets? Actually, I'm going to change that. We're chaining 2 instead of 3. So sorry if you chain 3. And we're going to do half treble crochets. So our first one is actually going to be inside of the loop here. Oh, and you're going to pull through both of them. It probably feels weird switching up. I've been crocheting a blanket, that's all just treble crochets, so it always feels weird changing what you're doing. But we're going to just pull through the 3. So yarn over, through, and pull through all 3. It's going to be a nice little condensed border, but I think it's just going to look quite clean and make all of this nice and even. And I'm going to clean up all of these edges as well, like the tails. So now we're at the corner. We've done one half of the bag. Well, actually, so I just did the last crochet. We're going to do 1, 2, 3. Do you think 3 is enough? 3 looks like it's enough for our nice little corner as well. So you make sure you're above that one, your crochet, do 3 in the gap, and then make sure you go into that first one as well. And that should make like a nice little corner for you. So then it doesn't like pull or anything like that, and it'll sit quite flat. And now you just keep going and doing the other side. Three treble crochets in the corner, and then half treble crochets, and then we do a slip stitch right here to create that nice little point there, and we're going to tie this off. Perfect. Okay, so you can see we got a little tail out here, that's fine, and we've got one poking out here. It's fine. We'll do a nice big cleanup at the end when we get to it. So if you turned it the right way around, pity I can't get this all on my screen at once, but you'll have something looking like this. We got all of our joints looking nice. If you wanted it to kind of give you a little border that pops out, you can do this the reverse way. I just prefer this kind of border. I like the wrong side of this border. It just kind of looks a bit, I don't know, no, it's nicer from in my perspective, but you know what, do whatever you like. So as you can see, the next steps here, it's actually going to be a little bit of sewing. So I got this really nice print fabric. What we're going to do is nice and easy, is we're going to make this the lining. So a few ways of doing this. You could either pinch the corners, pucker it up like that. What I'm actually going to do, I feel like I'm giving too many options. So what we're going to do is fold our fabric in half. If you've got a big piece of fabric, whatever it is, you kind of want it to fit either side. Now this fabric is a bit of a stretch fabric, so as you can see on this corner it doesn't come out all the way, but when we crochet we're going to pull it out, and then it will keep the inside a bit more bag-like. So we've got the bottom edge lined up with hanging over a little bit of the bottom edge of the bag, and then we've got this side edge. You can see this edge right here, doing about a finger's width, and then we're going to pin right here. I'm actually going to stick in 2, so that's number 1. This guy doesn't look like he's doing anything anymore, so we're going to put 2 here. And then repeat on the other side. The reason why we're doing this, sorry, I'll do that again. So we've got here, we've got our little edge here, and I'm going to pin finger's width. It's going right there. So we're wanting to give a bit of extra fabric, so then when it opens, it actually opens as a bag and it's not opening like a folder, let's say like a paper folder. Oh, push that through. These pins are kind of old, so they're starting to not be as sharp as what they used to. So what I mean is, if we had the lining on the inside quite flat, it would only open up kind of like this. But we want it to be a full bag and have the lining be a full bag. So that's something we're keeping in mind. So with your lining, I don't have fabric scissors, not anymore. So we got these guys. Sometimes you just gotta work with what you've got. And my embroidery scissors are even more blunt than these scissors, sadly to say. So we're cutting off little corners. We don't need this fabric. Do it for both sides. I cleaned these edges up. Doesn't look very clean, but I got rid of what I didn't need. It doesn't matter if it looks a bit scraggly. These stupid scissors aren't that sharp. So they're what we've got. Put the needle through. I'm going to need to use all this string right here. I guarantee you, I'm going to be changing the string halfway through, I feel like. The nice thing is we still have this fold here, so that's why I say use a square of a fabric so you don't have to sew this fold. You just need to sew this edge here, and same on the other side, and then attach it to your bag. So it's not too bad. It's not the best, but it's not too bad. So nice little double knot in there. And if you find your string winds up together, use beeswax, run it over, and it'll figure itself out. If you have skateboard wax or surf wax or snowboard wax, that will work the same. So what we're doing is around these corners a few times, you're going to be sewing them together. And we're going to just, oh no, mine's knotting together. No, please don't do that. Oh no. No. Okay. So my first one I'm doing around, the very first one, to try and lock it in a bit. Now, the type of stitch we're doing, I think it's called a backing stitch, backing hand stitch, where we go through and then you go through where halfway is. If you've got double yarn, you try to go through the yarn because this is a thicker yarn, trying to go through. So this is also why you don't want any knots there. So we've gone through, we go forward, and then from behind you want to come out through the middle. Okay, so as you come through, you go back in from the same side, come back around, and then when we're going from behind, you try to go from the middle, and it kind of cuts up. And you just repeat this all the way along. If you want to make him smaller and tighter, probably better. Mine are quite long. I think I need to shorten them a bit. Okay, so you're probably wondering whatever happened at the end right here is I had a little knot in the end and I just wanted to make the stitch taut and make sure it is secure. But your stitch will look something like this. The other side looks a little bit messy. It is fine if it looks messy. It doesn't matter. We're not really going to be seeing this side or judging it either. If you're a bit worried about how it is, open it up. The inside should be like this. If you see any big holes when you go through that you're a bit concerned about, honestly, you could just go straight back up. So, and reinforce it that way. But to tie it off, it's literally the same way how we tie off crochets. I like to do another stitch through, pull the thread through, and as if you're doing the end of a crochet, pull through a couple times. You can tell these are thread scissors because they just cut that way too well. Oh, I hate when my thread gets tangled. All twisted. Pull it nice and down. This one you can cut off quite close because we just did that kind of finishing to it, and now we repeat on the other side. So now we have our inside lining done. What will happen when we open up the bag will be all cute and look like that. So that's why I probably forgot to mention at the start, you put the side that you want to see, so your right side, together. So now we're going to be joining these two together. So, okay, so now we're going to be attaching our crochet bag to our little hand sewed lining. So, well, I'll try my best to explain this through. So this is the wrong side. So this is the outside, this is the inside. So we've got our wrong side. We've got our lining. We're going to flip it right side round and put our crochet outside on the inside of our lining. Okay. Get that nicely tucked in there. Now, what we're wanting to do is we will fold over the edges and we're going to sew this together. So sometimes the easiest way, fold it so you've got your two corners here and here. You got your corner here. And this is where we pin our first one. You'll definitely need pins for this. And then you've done your first one. Now we flip it over to the other side. This is where we pin our second one, our second corner. Okay. And it's okay to have these tags hanging out. We'll get to that when we get to that. Then the next point will be the middle. So we get the two corners. We've got a corner here. We fold it in half. And these are our middles right here. So we want to pinch our first middle, fold it over and over again. And then we're going to do it the opposite way. Fold it over, and we're pinching for the outside middle is what we're finding, because if you do the inside middle, there may be a fold in the fabric that you're not really aware of. Okay. And then we can see here, you may want to fold middle again, but you can kind of see where everything is. So we fold again. Fold over the edge. We don't need to fold it up, but we want to fold over the edge so we know when we're sewing it, we have a nice clean edge and we don't have to think about folding the fabric over. And in theory, your fabric should fold quite nicely into where it is a straight line for the whole thing. It's just a weird join, I guess. Fold it over to the other side. And that's why I was saying earlier, it doesn't really matter about those edges that I cut, because they're all getting folded away anyway. As you've seen, I'm having to stretch it out a little bit. It's just because they're both different sizes. You want it to be as flat as possible when you pin them down so you know you've got the right spot. Okay. I'm going to pin this guy down a bit better. So it's going to look something like this. Right. Now what we'll do is get some more thread, but instead we need to be careful that we don't go through because that's our outside. But we're going to be doing a running stitch between the two. We're starting from this corner. I'm going to move this pin and move it up a bit more because I'm wanting them all to be, you know, about 2 mils, say, from the edge. We're starting on this wrong side. Pull the thread through. And this first one, I know I said we're going to be doing a running stitch, but I just want to get this nice and secure at this corner point. Okay, so now we're just going to go through, and to do this running stitch, we're on this side, we grab a little bit of the thread, grab a bit of the fabric, and you're almost gathering it on. Pull your thread through a bit and keep going around. So grab a bit of the threads, grab a bit of the fabric, and go back and try and grab every single crochet column, let's call it. So then it's as secure as possible. Just got back to our end. I did a nice little cross a reinforcement stitch. I'm not sure how well you can see it through this camera, but the nice thing is we're going to tie it off. So we've got this hole here, we've got our finger on the other side. We're going to go back over and pull through this hole. And we're going to push the fabric through. I'm just going to do a nice little through stitch, another little reinforcement stitch. I think that's probably my biggest thing I've learned when hand sewing. A reinforcement stitch goes a long way. Just a little loop. You can do a cross one, so you do like an X shape, but it certainly helps. And now we just tie this off. So we've got our zip here. And luckily, I had a zip the exact opening. Now, what I'm going to do, there's a few ways I can do this. So I can either put a dot at every little stitch, dot, 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 and make a little hole. The thing is, because my stitches are so close together, I'm worried that's going to weaken the zip. So instead, I don't have a pencil with me. Of course I don't. I'm going to do every other one. Right. In theory, I should be doing this with a pencil. Am I going to do this with a pencil? Nope. I'm just going to figure it out. Okay, so I did try. I saw one place, probably TikTok, Instagram, wherever. Someone heated up a sewing needle to put holes into their zip. That didn't work for me, so I just stabbed it and then used a lighter to help try and like make sure it doesn't fray. I did one side and then folded it over to do the second side, and then this way it should be pretty even. So with a zip, I've got extra ones at the back, and we're actually going to crochet these two on together. There's a few ways we could do this, that we can just go ahead, crochet it on. I was going to do another little edging on here anyways. That will be in the next video when I do the strap. So I'm going to treat your inside loop as our joining loop. So then we still have the outside loop that if we want to add to it, we can add onto the outside loop without worrying too much. Sorry, I just saw a thread I want to pull through to the inside. Show that guy in. So, just to help us out a bit, we get our trusty little pins. Once we have everything pinned in, we want to rearrange ourselves so we're going along as we normally would crochet. We do our little slip stitch. I'm going to go through this first corner, and just to help tie things in, we're just going to pull through. Now through that same first loop we went through, we go through the hole that's in the zip, yarn through and do a double crochet. Now we go into the next one, and if we can get through as well, do another one, and where I think another one, there it is. So I think the hard part with this is keeping these corners, try and tuck them in, but also knowing where you're crocheting. So where's that other one? Oh, let's try that again. And through. And we're actually going to do 2 from that same one. And this is going to be personal judgment, which I feel like sounds like the scariest thing in the world. But you're going to need to judge where it goes from where you that's my pin come undone. Shove that back in. From where you place the holes as to how many crochets you do out of that one given hole. So I can see this one needs a few more. Gosh, everything seems to be getting in the way right now. Sometimes to make it easier, undo the zip a bit. That can free things up. My next hole is over here. This one's the closer one. I think the scary thing at the same time is you don't want to stretch it and then have the thread break on the zip itself. That's why I do personally like trying to burn the hole through. So then you kind of corduroy, I don't know, solidify the edges a bit more, but we'll keep going on. Right in the middle of these two, but here we go. And I know I originally said we'll do it on the edge, or I may or may not have said that we're doing it on the edge. It turns out that I'm just doing it on the full thing. And we'll have this whole little edge in here to play around with a bit later on. Okay, so we're back at the start again. I've undone the zip and I've just come back near the very, very first few. So this stitch near the start, I have looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. So I currently have 2 in there. So we're going to do 4. And it's always good to have, whenever you are doing zips, that a few extras should be at the start and end. Because like the corners, you want to reinforce these. You want to make sure these are your strongest points, because that's obviously going to have the most pull and everything like that. Now these guys will get blended in and everything. Probably should have done that earlier, but here we are. Now my next hole is here. Oh, that didn't go through properly. Once again, I'm on camera, so I'm stuffing up. It's like when you try to type in front of other people. For some reason, it's almost like it's the first day you've ever seen a keyboard. Just can't type. Okay. And then that little last one as well. Just really trying to get everything. There we go. Tucked in as much as possible. As I said earlier, I am just going to reiterate it. Everyone's zips section will look a little bit different. It depends how long your zip is, how much you're spacing it out by. So you shouldn't worry too much about that. That's serious. Okay. Let's pull this through a bit. Okay. So what I want to do here is close this off. So, oh, that didn't even help keep those two little strings away. So we're going to do something similar as what we did on the first one. Sorry, at the end. Was cross over to the other side, pull through, and then cross from this side, back over here, and pull through. Okay, now I've got this little bit of a bowl patch here, which I personally don't love. So, what's this little loopy loop from? Where do I have a random loop? You know what? I'm just going to undo this a little bit. There we go. This is why. This wasn't tight enough. There we go. So we'll go through. We'll repeat that last little one. There we go. So I am going to go through one of these stitches over here and through, let's go where it's going to make sense, the middle there. Double pull through, just because I'm wanting to cover up that little bit of a hole. Okay. So we can see here it's not joining for mine, which is a bit annoying, but so I'm just going to do something really simple just so it joins a bit better. Is I'm going to do slip stitch here, slip stitch on the edge, and slip stitch on this edge here. And that's a little trick on how to, if it's not really joining up, just do a slip stitch through as if you've just joined it all back together. Now we're just doing a slip stitch knot to finish this part off. We have the first part of our bag done. It's been attached to the zip as well, so we've got a functioning zip. So we have on the side our scalloped edges on the inside, and we're going to probably do some extra scallop edges as well. We've attached our inside bag, so it's looking nice and cute. But I'm loving how it looks. So in the next video, we're going to add some more scallop edging on there to make the invisible zip a little bit more invisible, or just to add a little bit of something, and I am going to try a different strap for the first time. I'm in between two. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a braided one or what, but it might be one that looks a little bit braided and everything. Once again, all in the yellow. This yarn was meant to take me a few projects. Seems like it's only taken me to one, but that's okay. So it'd be great if you could like and subscribe. At this time of recording right now, I'm at 19 subscribers. It'd be amazing if I could get to, let's go a bit higher, and let's say 30 would be amazing. So it would be great for you to join me on this journey, and feel free to comment on other things you'd like to see next, how you may join a zip to crocheting, a crochet bag. Normally I sew it, so this is my first time really getting crochet stitches in. Any little tips with that, love for you to share. And yeah, see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.